Welcome to the Reality Revolution. Today's episode is focused on creating your reality from the higher self. To claim your creation, merging the ego and the higher self. Today we're embarking on a journey of self-discovery and empowerment. Our focus is claiming the universe as your creation. You might be thinking, wait a minute, the universe as my creation? That sounds a bit grandiose, and you're right, it's a bold statement. Because this concept has the power to revolutionize how you perceive yourself and the world around you. Everything that you experience, every interaction, every circumstance, every moment of joy or challenge is not just happening to you. It is in fact an extension of you. The universe you perceive is a reflection of your consciousness filtered through the lens of your unique perspective. This isn't about claiming ownership of the physical universe in a literal sense. It's about recognizing your role as the creator of your experience of reality. It's about understanding your perceptions, beliefs, and choices actively shape the world you inhabit. Why is this important? Because when you truly grasp this concept, it shifts you from being a passive observer to an active participant in life, even a co-creator. It empowers you to take responsibility for your experiences and, more importantly, to consciously shape them. We're always creating our reality, but sometimes we create from the ego. And if we can learn to truly create from the higher self, amazing things can happen. Recently, in an episode, I read an Arcturian council channeling, and they explained it is the perfect time for you all to stand on your own 2 feet and look out into this universe, claiming it as your creation. We also suggest that you see the universe as a projection of your consciousness that is also colored by the lens of your perception of it. We know that you have heard about these truths before, but what you may not have considered is which aspect of you has been doing the creating of your reality, and you may also be unclear about how much of the circumstances that you have been living were predetermined by you prior to birth. It is true that when the ego gets a hold of this information, it wants what it wants. Like a kid in a candy store, the ego runs wild and sets out to create everything that it has ever wanted. And that approach to creating a reality does serve you. That is why that information is given to the ego. But what you really want to do, what you really want to demonstrate to yourself, is your ability to create your experience of reality in the way that you want to create it. Everything is about your perception of it and what you're willing to make out of it. Given your circumstances, how can you shift your perception of your reality right now to actually change it? You are changing your experience of it and therefore creating it. Now, your higher self has been the aspect of you that has been creating your reality, at times in conjunction with the ego and at times in spite of it. What can you do then to create your reality in the truest and fullest meaning of that statement? You can merge your ego with your higher self, and you can become that reality you are creating. When you see yourself in the state of oneness, you truly have everything that you on all levels of your being could ever desire. Have you ever noticed how 2 people can experience the same event completely different? This isn't just a matter of opinion, it's a fundamental aspect of how we interact with the world around us. Our perception literally shapes our reality. Think about it this way. Right now, you're perceiving this video through your senses, but your brain isn't passively receiving information. It's actively interpreting what you see and hear, filtering it through your past experiences, beliefs, and expectations. This process happens so quickly and seamlessly that we rarely notice it. But here's where it gets interesting. This interpretive process doesn't apply to simple sensory information. It extends to how we perceive and interact with the entire universe around us. Let's use an example. Imagine you're walking down a busy street. You might see it as a vibrant, exciting place of possibilities. Someone else might see the same street as overwhelming and stressful. The physical reality is the same, but the experienced reality is vastly different. That is what we mean when we say the universe is colored by Your lens of perception, your unique combination of beliefs, expectations, past experiences, and current state of mind acts as a filter through which you perceive and interpret everything around you. Now you might be thinking, but surely there's an objective reality out there independent of how I perceive it. And you're right, there likely is. But here's the crucial point. You can never experience that reality directly. You can only experience your perception of it. This isn't just philosophical musing. It has practical implications of how we live our lives. If our perception shapes our reality, then by changing our perception, we can change our experienced reality. For instance, if you believe the world is a hostile place, you're more likely to notice and remember negative events, reinforcing your belief. Conversely, if you believe the world is fundamentally good, you're more likely to notice and remember positive events. Same world, different experience. This doesn't mean we should ignore real problems or pretend everything is perfect. Rather, it's about recognizing that our perception plays a crucial role in how we experience and interact with the world. By understanding this, we gain a powerful tool for personal growth and transformation. We can start to consciously examine and shift our perceptions, gradually changing our experienced reality. Remember, this isn't about denying your current reality or pretending everything is perfect. It's about recognizing that your consciousness is constantly interpreting and giving meaning to your experiences. By becoming aware of this process, you can start to have more influence over it. Now let's dive into a crucial question. Who exactly is doing the creating? Which aspect of yourself has been creating your reality all this time? This is why there's so much confusion about the creation process, the law of attraction. It might seem like you have never really been able to create reality, or you sit and try to manifest using visualization techniques or some suggested techniques that you get from YouTube, and nothing seems to happen. But then things start to happen. Which aspect of you created that? To answer this, we need to consider the different aspects of self that make up who you are. Broadly speaking, we can divide these into two main categories, the ego and the higher self. The ego is the part of you that you're most familiar with. It's your everyday conscious mind, your sense of individual reality. It's the voice in your head that says, I want this. I don't like that. The ego is concerned with your immediate desires, fears, and survival needs. On the other hand, the higher self is a deeper, more expansive aspect of your consciousness. It's sometimes referred to as your soul, your spirit, or your true self. This part of you is connected to the broader universe and has a perspective that goes beyond your immediate circumstances. So which of these has been creating your reality? The answer might surprise you. It's both, but in different ways and often with different agendas. Your ego has been actively shaping your reality through your conscious choices, beliefs, and actions. When you set a goal and work towards it, that's your ego in action. When you react to a situation based on your fears or desires, that's your ego influencing your reality. But your higher self has also been at work, often in more subtle ways. Those moments of intuition, unexpected synchronicities, or deeper inner knowing. These are often attributed to the influence of your higher self. It's been guiding you towards experiences that contribute to your overall growth and evolution, even if they don't always align with your ego's immediate desires. Now let's address the question of predetermined circumstances versus ongoing creation. There's a school of thought that suggests we choose between key experiences or lessons before we're born. This is what Quo tells us. These would be our predetermined circumstances. Think of it as setting up the basic structure of our life's journey. But here's the key. Even if some circumstances are predetermined, how you respond to them and thus what you create from them is an ongoing process. It's like being given a set of ingredients, and what you choose to cook with is up to you. Moreover, many aspects of your reality are not predetermined, but are being created moment by moment through your thoughts, beliefs, and actions. This is where your power as a conscious creator really comes into play. So in essence, you're always creating your reality, but from different levels of your being, something I really haven't talked about in previous reality creation episodes. Your ego is creating through its immediate choices and reactions, while your higher self is creating on a broader scale, guiding you towards experiences that serve your overall growth. When you're shifting into realities, your higher self is the ultimate check. So you have to find some way to merge with your higher self to truly shift into realities that you want. So in essence, you're always creating a reality from different levels of your being. Your ego is creating through its immediate choices. The challenge and opportunity lies in aligning these two aspects of yourself. When your ego and higher self are in harmony, you become a much more powerful and intentional creator of your reality. At the beginning of my channel, I often taught heart-mind coordination, aligning the heart and the mind. This is the next level. Once the heart and mind are connected and aligned, we must find a way to align the ego and the higher self. In practice, this might look like listening to your intuition alongside your rational mind, considering the long-term implications of your choices, not just immediate gratification, and being open to experiences that challenge you to grow, even if they're uncomfortable. Remember, you're not just a passive recipient of a predetermined reality. You're an active creator, constantly shaping your experiences through your perceptions, decisions, and actions. The key is to become more conscious of this process, bringing your ego and higher self into alignment to create a reality that truly affects your highest potential. Now let's zoom in on the ego's role in this process. Understand how your ego responds to the idea of reality creation. This is crucial. It often drives your conscious efforts to shape your life. When the ego first encounters the concept that it can create its own reality, its reaction is typically quite enthusiastic, and understandably so. Imagine being told that you have the power to manifest anything you desire. It's like being a kid in a candy store, isn't it? The ego, with its focus on immediate desires and personal gain, often responds with excitement and a flurry of grand plans. I'll create a mansion, it might think. I'll manifest $1 million, my dream job, the perfect partner. This initial response is natural and can be incredibly motivating. It's the ego recognizing its potential power and wanting to use it to fulfill all its wishes. This ego-driven approach to creation does have its benefits. It can, first of all, provide strong motivation and drive. Secondly, help you clarify your desires and goals. Third, encourage you to take action towards what you want. And fourth, boost your confidence and sense of personal power. When the ego is engaged in the creation process, it often leads to tangible results. You might find yourself working harder toward your goals, taking more risks, or being more assertive in pursuing what you want. This can lead to real changes in your external circumstances. However, ego-driven creation also has its limitations, and it's important to be aware of these. First, short-term focus. The ego tends to prioritize immediate gratification over long-term fulfillment. It might push you to create circumstances that feel good in the moment, but don't contribute to your overall growth or happiness. It also leads to fear-based decisions. The ego is often driven by fear. Fear of lack, fear of missing out, fear of not being good enough. Creation from this place can lead to a reality that reflects and reinforces these fears. Third is the attachment to outcomes. When the ego is in charge of creation, it tends to become very attached to specific outcomes. This can lead to disappointment and frustration when things don't manifest exactly as imagined. Fourth, disconnection from the whole. Ego-driven creation often focuses solely on personal gain, potentially at the expense of others or the broader environment. This can lead to a reality that feels isolating or conflictual. And fifth, overlooking inner growth. The ego is primarily concerned with external circumstances. It might push you to create changes in your environment while neglecting important inner work and personal development. Let's use an example to illustrate this. Imagine someone who uses the principle of reality creation to manifest a high-paying job. The ego-driven approach might focus solely on the salary and status, pushing to make it happen at any cost. This could lead to success in getting the job, but potentially at the expense of work-life balance, personal fulfillment, or alignment with deeper values. Does this mean ego-driven creation is bad? Not at all. The ego plays a vital role in our earthly experience and can be a powerful ally in shaping our reality. The key is to balance its influence with that of our higher self. Ideally, we want to harness the ego's enthusiasm and drive while tempering it with the wisdom and broader perspective of our higher self. This balanced approach to creation allows us to pursue our desires and improve our circumstances while also staying aligned with our deeper purpose and contributing positively to the world around us. In practice, this might look like first setting goals that excite your ego but also align with your higher values. Second, taking inspired action towards your desires while remaining open to unexpected opportunities. Third, celebrating your achievements without becoming overly attached to specific outcomes. And fourth, regularly checking in with your deeper self to ensure your creations are serving your highest good. As we move forward, remember that the ego is a tool in the creation process, not the master of it. By understanding its responses and tendencies, you can work with your ego more consciously, creating a reality that satisfies your immediate desires while also supporting your long-term growth and fulfillment. Let's turn our attention to a more subtle but equally powerful force, and that is the higher self. While the ego's influence is often more obvious, your higher self has been shaping your reality in profound ways that you might not have fully recognized. Your higher self, also known as your soul or spirit, is the part of you that's connected to the broader universe. It holds your deepest wisdom, your life's purpose, and a perspective that extends far beyond your current circumstances. So how has this aspect of you been influencing your reality? First, intuitive guidance. Have you ever had a gut feeling that turned out to be right, or a sudden inspiration that led you down an unexpected but rewarding path? These are often manifestations of your higher self guiding you. Secondly, synchronicities. These meaningful coincidences that seem too perfect to be random, a book falling open to just the right page, or meeting exactly the right person at the right time, are often attributed to the workings of your higher self. And third, dreams and visions. Your higher self often communicates through symbols and imagery in your dreams or meditative states, providing insights and guidance for your waking life. And fourth, challenges for growth. Sometimes the situations that your ego perceives as obstacles or setbacks are actually opportunities for growth orchestrated by your higher self. And fifth, alignment with purpose. Your higher self gently, and sometimes not so gently, nudges you towards experiences that align with your soul's purpose, even if they don't always make sense to your ego. Now you might be wondering, if my higher self is so wise, why doesn't it just take over and create a perfect reality for me? This brings us to the crucial interplay between the higher self and the ego in the creation process. Your higher self and ego are not in opposition, but rather are designed to work in harmony. A lot of spiritual teachings tell you to completely forget about the ego, but that is just simply impossible. That would mean that you are dead. You can minimize the ego and understand its role, but think of your higher self as the composer of a symphony, while your ego is the conductor, the interpreting and expressing the music in the physical world. The higher self provides the overarching vision and purpose, while the ego provides the drive and focus to manifest that vision in daily life. When they work together, magic happens. Here's how this interplay typically works. First, the higher self inspires. It plants seeds of inspiration, often through intuition, dreams, or synchronicities. Secondly, the ego interprets. It processes these inspirations through the filter of your beliefs, experiences, and current understanding. And third, the ego acts. It provides the motivation and focus to take action in the physical world. And fourth, the higher self guides. It continues to provide subtle guidance, often through feelings of alignment or discord. And fifth, the ego learns and adjusts. As it experiences the results of its actions, the ego can learn to better interpret and act on the higher self's guidance. This dance between higher self and ego is ongoing and dynamic. Sometimes they're in perfect sync, and you feel a sense of flow and alignment in your life. Other times, there's friction, often manifesting as inner conflict or a sense of being stuck. The key to harmonious reality creation lies in fostering communication between your ego and higher self. This might involve practices like 1. Meditation, quieting the ego's chatter to better hear the whispers of your higher self. 2. Mindfulness, paying attention to your intuitive feelings and the synchronicities around you. 3. Reflection, regularly checking in with yourself to ensure your actions align with your deeper values and purpose. 4. Surrender, learning to let go of the ego's need for control and trusting in the higher wisdom of yourself. And 5. Integration, consciously bringing the insights from your higher self into your everyday decision-making. As you cultivate this relationship, you may find that your reality begins to shift in subtle but profound ways. You might notice more meaningful coincidences, feel a greater sense of purpose, or find yourself naturally drawn to experiences that fulfill you on a deeper level. Remember, your higher self isn't trying to override your ego or deny you earthly pleasures. Rather, it's guiding you towards a reality that satisfies your immediate needs. Now, let's discuss the powerful concept of merging the two aspects of self and how this integration can lead to more intentional and effective creation. Merging the ego and the higher self doesn't mean eliminating the ego or constantly living in a transcendental state. Rather, it's about creating a harmonious partnership between these two aspects of yourself. Think of it as a dance where both partners move in sync, each contributing their unique strengths to create something beautiful. So what does this merger look like? First, aligned decision-making. Instead of making choices based solely on immediate desires or fears, which is the ego, or on abstract spiritual ideals, which is just the higher self, you make decisions that honor both your earthly needs and your soul's purpose. Secondly, balanced perspective. You're able to see both the details of your daily life and the bigger picture of your spiritual journey, integrating these perspectives in how you approach challenges and opportunities. Third, intuitive action. You learn how to act on your intuitive nudges with confidence and practical planning, which is both the ego and the higher self. And also with purposeful desire. Desires become aligned with your higher purpose, so pursuing what you want also contributes to your spiritual growth and the greater good. And finally, conscious presence. You're fully engaged in your earthly life while maintaining an awareness of your broader spiritual identity. Now, how does this merger lead to more intentional creation? First, it provides clarity of intent. When your ego and higher self are aligned, you gain crystal clear clarity about what you truly want to create. This clarity of intent is a powerful force in shaping your reality. The next thing would be increased energy. Instead of your energy being split between ego, desires, and spiritual aspirations, all aspects of you are working together, amplifying your creative power. It also leads to inspired action. You're able to take decisive action, which is your ego, that's guided by your highest wisdom, your higher self, leading to more effective and fulfilling results. It will also lead to reduced inner conflict with less friction between different aspects of yourself. You'll spend less energy on inner turmoil like guilt and more on actual creation. And it leads to a heightened state of awareness. You become more attuned to opportunities, synchronicities, and subtle guidance, allowing you to co-create more seamlessly with the universe. And your manifestations are more balanced. You create realities that satisfy your immediate needs while also serving your long-term growth and greater good. And you'll be more resilient. When faced with challenges, you can draw both on your practical problem-solving skills, which is your ego, and your broader spiritual perspective, which is your higher self, making you more adaptable and resilient. To illustrate this, let's use an example. Imagine you're considering a career change with a merged ego and higher self. Your ego provides the drive to succeed and the practical skills needed for the transition. Your higher self ensures the new direction aligns with your overall life purpose and values. Together, they guide you to opportunities that are both practical, viable, and spiritually fulfilling. And you're able to navigate challenges with both strategic thinking and intuitive insight. The reality you create is one where your work is both materially rewarding and deeply meaningful. So how can you foster this merger? Here are some things that you can do. First of all, self-reflection. Regularly check in with yourself. Are your actions aligned with your deeper values and purpose? Then you want to meditate. Practice quieting the ego's chatter to better hear your higher self's guidance. I suggest my meditation connecting with your higher self. Also, mindful decision making. Before making decisions, you consider both the practical implications and how they align with your higher purpose. Develop your intuition. Pay attention to and act on your intuitive nudges, then reflect on the outcomes to fine-tune your inner guidance system. Do shadow work. Address and integrate the parts of yourself you've been rejecting or ignoring. This creates more internal harmony. Appreciate both your earthly experiences, which is the ego, and your spiritual journey. Try to use I am statements that reflect both human identity and your spiritual essence. As you continue to integrate these aspects of yourself, you may find that your ability to intentionally shape your reality becomes more powerful and refined. Your creations become not just manifestations of your desires, but expressions of your highest self and purpose. So my question to you is, how are you creating your reality right now? Are you focused just on egotistical concerns? Is it just immediate gratification? Or are you focused on spiritual obligations? The truth is, you want to have a balance of both. If this is all just spiritual, then you kind of disengage from third density reality. But if this is all just ego, then you lose the higher purpose of what you're doing. The very point and essence of this episode is for you to focus on balancing both of these urges. This allows you to join with the higher self. What happens is your higher self is always there and is always the prime creator. But if you ignore the ego then starts to contradict with the higher self. The higher self will always just back off. It's going to let the ego do its thing. But if you can bring the higher self into this process and you can work together, ultimately the ego's negative side will diminish and you will start to see things on a much larger scale. The true power is from the higher self. But for you to utilize this power, you have to integrate these aspects together, taking a larger view. You can create from the ego, but it doesn't always have the best end point. You might create from the ego and it might have disastrous consequences. So when you utilize the higher self and it knows and is aware of the right things that you can do, it gives you its power. And that's the secret I want you to know. When you align with the higher self and integrate the higher self, not ignoring the ego entirely, that's when you open up the true reservoir of your higher power. This power allows for immediate manifestation, effective achievement of goals, and more importantly, you find yourself setting very powerful intentions beyond what you thought was possible. Once you start playing with these forces, you start to realize that you can accomplish anything. You are inspired, you are motivated, and you think beyond yourself. Once you start moving into the higher self, you start moving into an idea of serving others. You start thinking of things beyond just the ego. And when you do that, that's where the true power starts to flow. Serving others is the secret to magic, is the secret to manifestation. And if you can integrate that, then amazing things happen. Usually, ultimately, the ego is serving yourself. But it's not as simple as that. It's not as black and white as that. The ego is your personality, and your ego can effectively serve others if it understands its role and starts to work in harmony with the higher self. And ultimately, that's what I want you to do, is to work in harmony with the higher self, to invite the true power and awaken it within you. And only then you can create reality from the higher self. You can find all episodes of The Reality Revolution at therealityrevolution.com. And welcome to The Reality Revolution.